Good morning, Internet fans. Ryan Perry, Simple Biz Support. Today is Thursday, April 7th. Therefore, it is Internet Marketing Thursday. And as usual, I have Virginie Dorn, the CEO of Business Website Center in Petaluma. Good morning, Virginie.
Good morning, Ryan. How are you today?
I'm doing good. Unfortunately, Google is still working on their audio issues. I had a message, I guess you got the same message, that they were switching audio, the VoIP settings or something like that. Unfortunately, you're still a little crackly here and there, and we apologize. And I just want to let everybody know that Virginie has tested everything, and it seems to be a Google Hangout issue, and that's why the audio may crackle throughout the conversation, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's been a couple of months, and Google Hangout, it is a free product, so it's hard to complain, but nonetheless, it's a major product, and I would think with the resources they have, it would be fixed by now. Now, if it takes them too long to fix it, we're going to have to switch platform
We
sooner
just,
than later.
yeah, unfortunately, we just might. But before we switch a platform or switch platforms, let's talk about mobile responsive, specifically for your local business owners. So for this episode, we're really going to be speaking to business owners that have a local audience, say within 20, 25 miles. A lot of times we're talking about dentists, attorneys, auto repair shops, auto body shops, optometrist. I mean, there's a million different businesses out there, but they don't have a regional or national level. And I guess it kind of boils down to budget. And so maybe these small business owners are thinking, oh, I don't need a fancy responsive website. And a responsive website being one that automatically conforms to desktop, tablet, and then smartphone. But the reality is they do.
Correct. We get that questions all the time. I'm very tiny. I have a donut shop. Why do I care about responsive design? Although there's two main reasons why you should care. Well, first and foremost, it should cost you the same amount of dollars to design a new website, but it is responsive or not responsive. So mine as well. The first reason is Google will heavily penalize you or your website if you're not responsive. They won't pass the requirements. And what does it mean being penalized? It simply means lower ranking on Google search. So even though you have a local target audience, you still want people to find your company online. Maybe they're looking for donuts or a dentist or a car repair shop in Santa Rosa, wherever your location is. If you're not found, you're going to miss as prospective client. So again, one of the biggest penalty imposed on website by Google currently is not being mobile responsive. So have your website, make sure it's works on smartphones, tablets, and other mobile devices.
All right, and just to add on to that, Google made it very clear last year that they had made a change in their algorithm for mobile device, and they upped that. I forget if it was last month or this month, or maybe in May, I forget exactly when, but they are tweaking the algorithm again for mobile device. And essentially, if Google says your website is not mobile friendly, it is going to de-rank you, or not delist you, but it's definitely going to drop your ranking. And the key reason is user experience. And I know you're going to talk about user experience, but I think a lot of times people just look at Google as this enemy. You know, it's like, well, why can't Google just put me on the first page, blah, blah, blah. And the reality is, as a consumer of Google, when I go onto my desktop, my phone, and I use Google, I, as a consumer, want to have the best user experience available. And if Google is recommending websites that are not mobile friendly, and so now I'm having to pinch and zoom because the text is too small and I'm having to scroll back and forth, it's aggravating from an end user point of view. And that affects Google's reputation. They're not giving good referrals at that point. And so why should they put your website on the first page of Google?
I absolutely agree. Google is in the business of pleasing consumers and rendering good results for them, quality results and quality website. So that brings us to the reason number two, why your website should be responsive, even though you're a small business targeting a local audience, is the user experience. Most of your target audience, even though they're like within 5 miles from you, are going to be using a smartphone or a tablet to look for your company. to look for your type of services and browse through your web pages. So, I mean, the number for 2015 are not out yet, but it seems that searches on smartphones and tablets are far exceeding desktop searches. That means that your local audience themselves are using their smartphone to look at your website. So imagine their frustration and annoyance. So just like you said, they have to zoom in, zoom out constantly. Out of frustration, they're going to get out of your website and go to your competitor down the street. So that's the second main reason why your website should be responsive, regardless if you have an audience throughout the US or just within a couple of miles of your office location.
Yeah, and I think, you know, when you speak to that, the mobile experience is not just search results now, but what if I go to Joe's dental shop? That doesn't sound like a great place, but let's say I go to Joe's dental shop, and Joe the dentist is like the best dentist ever. So I tell my friends, oh, you need a dentist, go to Joe's Dental Shack because Joe does the best work. They're going to do their own research more than likely. So if they go and type in Joe's Dentist Shack on their mobile device and it comes up as non-mobile friendly, and I got to do the zoomy pinchy, what I call the zoomy pinchy thing, which is very obnoxious, you've just lost clients, you've lost credibility. And a website should generate credibility, not lose credibility. So it's not even just, well, okay, so I won't be found on search, but you're going to lose business through referrals. Every time you hand out a business card to somebody, it's got your web address on it. You're going to lose credibility when you go to your website. And that also ties into the fact that when you build out a mobile website, your desktop version doesn't necessarily need to look like the mobile version because the platforms are different and the actual interface is completely different between using a mouse and then swiping with my finger.
Yes, so that brings us to what you should be considered for website elements when you're not convinced that your website should be responsive to mobile devices. So you've finally got it, you're ready to move forward. First and foremost, make sure you streamline your mobile version. So a mobile version is exactly your desktop version, but synchronized to work better on a smaller screen. Saying that, it doesn't mean everything has to be there. And that's especially true. So imagine it's very common on a lot of modern websites to have a mega slider with text coming in, maybe some additional images on top of a slide. When you shrink it to a smartphone, it's very busy, it's very hard to understand. Even though you might pass Google's requirements for mobile device responsiveness, it's still not user-friendly. So really take a hard look at all the information you have on your desktop and think about what needs to be there on the smaller versions and what doesn't. It's very easy for your webmasters to actually hide elements. It's just some coding technique. They should know how to do that. You can tell them, well, on my slider, I just want the slides, skip the message. I don't want the footer to be so big, so get rid of a large footer, just put my copyright information. Maybe if you have a heavy menu and lots of elements, just say, I just want my logo and my contact information and the icon for a navigation bar. So again, streamline your your mobile version as much as you can. Now, I'm looking at the second thing is to show what's important. So take a look at your local audience, truly understand what they want and need to see on your website in order to finalize that sale, to make them call you. So what's important to your local audience is different for every area. So once you understand what that is, make sure those elements are on the top of the mobile version of your website, not hidden. So for instance, maybe a local phone number, directions to go to your office coming from 101 North, 101 South, which is our highway here, how to get easily to your parking. So again, take a look at what's important for local audience and put it as a better position on a smaller version.
Yeah, and hopefully we don't see it too much anymore, but make sure things like your phone number are not embedded in an image, because then they're not clickable. One of the cool things about the smartphone is I can actually click on a phone number, assuming it's not embedded in an image, and then I can call you. It just makes things really simple and really easy.
Yes, so that's all has to do with the user experience, which brings me to focus on that experience and make sure the journey of your visitors on a mobile device is as pleasant as it would be on a desktop. But before you get to that, you have to understand, what are you trying to get those visitors to do? So if they're on a tablet, what do you want them to do? If they're on their smartphone, what's the goal? Is it to click that phone number and right away call you? Is it to get them to a contact form? Or is it to purchase an item on your shopping cart? Once you understand what your business goal is for those visitors, then make sure that journey on a smaller device is as easily and as quickly as possible. So again, if it's to get them to buy a pair of shoes, make sure that journey is very quick on a mobile device. Because again, they have limited real estate on their screen, so you want to make that process very easy for them.
Right, and I think another tip, and this you brought up a while back, we were talking about mobile device, is that, excuse me, when people scroll, the last thing they're going to see is the footer. And so having some sort of call to action, or again, a phone number, if you understand what it is that you want them to do, make sure when they get to the end of the page, you have do this next in order to increase conversion.
Yes. Now, the final tip we have today for you in terms of items to consider when you want your website to be mobile responsive is to optimize for mobile local searches. And what does that mean? Well, let's think about it. If I'm sitting in front of multiple 24-inch screens like I am currently, and I'm looking for a hairdresser in Kotati, a small town nearby, I'll put hairdresser Kotati search. If I'm on my iPhone, I'm going to say, hey Siri, can you give me a hairdresser somewhere in Kotati that does hair color? I don't color my hair. But anyway, as you can see, the search combination is so much longer when you verbalize a comment compared to a desktop search. So you have to somewhere, either in image alt or title tags or within your copywriting throughout your site, have those elongated searches incorporated. So when someone say, hey Siri, I need a local hairdresser nearby within 5 miles of where I'm currently standing, somewhere it makes sense for Google's and it brings your website as #1 on page 1.
Yeah, and just so people know, Google paid a lot of money to be the default search engine for Siri, by the way. So all those Apple people used to not be connected to Google because of their infighting, but now they're tied very strongly together. So getting that ranking is very, very important if you want to increase your search visibility.
Yes, indeed. And we always talk about Google, but they are the powerhouse. If you please Google, you will most likely please all the smaller search engines out there. But if you focus on Google, you're in very good shape. And again, mobile responsiveness for your website, regardless if you have a small local target audience or a nationwide audience, is extremely important. So that you're not penalized by Google and you're found online, but also that the user experience when you're on their smartphone or their tablet is as pleasant as it can be, and you get them to do what you want them to do on your website.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, so I guess the answer to the question is yes, you need to have a responsive website regardless of the size and location of your business.
A big yes.
A big yes. All right, perfect. With that big yes, that's going to end today's episode of Internet Marketing. Next week, we are going to continue the conversation with talking about content and messaging for local business. And this is going to be around how to attract more people locally to your website. Virginie, as always, I appreciate the time and energy that you put into the show.
It was my pleasure. Have a great rest of the week.
I will do that. You too. That's it for today's show, everybody. We appreciate you hanging out with us and look forward to seeing you next week. If you have any questions, comments, feel free to leave them below, and we will see you in front of the same computer, same screen next week. Take care.